All right.
The one earlier was so much better. Well, we're recording. We're live. Well, live right now. Jay, welcome. How are you, man?
Good.
Good?
What it is, what it ain't, what it's going to be.
That's the title of the episode.
Yeah.
I want to put that as the title.
Oh, sweet.
No, man. So what movie did you bring for us?
A classic for me, for many, Stand By Me. It's a 1986 film. Rob Reiner, one of his, groundbreaking films. That's, where the Castle Rock Entertainment. That's where he got the name from this movie. It takes place in Castle Rock, Maine. So, it just played a big part of my childhood. And, I was only 4 when the movie came out, but, I probably seen it by the time I was 7. I recall the first time I seen it. My mom had showed me the movie, and I just from there, it was just became a love of mine, and probably watch it, 30 plus times.
When was the last time you saw it?
Oh, it's been a while.
Oh, yeah?
At least a couple of years, probably. So This will be, I'm kind of looking forward to this. I was actually going to watch it, but then I was like, nah, I don't want to take away from that factor. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'd rather just see it and kind of experience some things again for the first time.
Right.
See what hits home and what doesn't.
Yeah, there's another one where on the podcast I haven't seen before. And I was looking it up, and it's got quite the cast. I mean, obviously when they were up and coming,
Yeah, of course.
But we have Will Wheaton.
Mm-hmm.
We have
everybody loves Will Wheaton.
River Phoenix,
of course.
Right, which Darren didn't know was actually Joaquin Phoenix's brother.
Of course, yeah. He passed away a long time ago too.
Yeah, very young. I think 23. I was reading a drug overdose.
Yep.
Real sad story there. And also, I mean, he was. It's not just he was just Joaquin Phoenix's brother. I think he was older actually. In fact.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, but he was a phenomenal actor even as a kid. So he had a long road ahead of him of like just success. Yeah. And just taken away from him too early.
So just that back then, that whole child star, lifestyle was,
What's his name? Corey Feldman.
Yeah.
That's what he's spoken about a lot. Publicly.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Who's in this movie?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's Teddy. Corey Feldman, Jerry O'Connell. Then you got like the others, Kiefer Sutherland. His brother was even John Cusack. He was in the movie as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't catch that one.
Yep. I mean, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I'm watching the movie, but a lot of big names in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
It was it didn't win that that many awards or anything, but it was nominated for a few.
I know nominated Oscar-wise for best adapted screenplay.
Yeah.
Best adapted writing.
And because here we go to the writing was Stephen King, so it's kind of crazy because when they first made this movie, they did a private screening with Stephen King, and I read this. I didn't know it either, but when the film was over, they actually looked and they thought he didn't like it at first because he just wasn't saying nothing, and he actually asked to leave the room. And when he came back, Rob Reiner said that he said that's one of the best depictions of his books that he's ever seen.
Really?
Probably the most, actually. And
like most accurate?
Most accurate, yep. And he was just taken back how accurate it was. And because this book was kind of based on his childhood as well, a little bit of it. The Body, the novel The Body.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of interesting. I didn't know that.
That was cool. Yeah, I actually didn't realize that Stephen King also wrote non-horror books at all. There's a whole collection. So this is like a novella, right? So it's like smaller, and it was in the same collection as was it Shawshank Redemption? Was that his too? Which I also didn't know he.
Yeah,
wrote.
This is exactly. He this was up there with that too. Yeah, he's got a lot of people don't know. It's not just it and
mm-hmm.
You think of the big
Shining,
ones that exactly. I mean, he's great with everything, but
did he write Green Mile?
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Green Mile.
Did he write Shawshank?
Really?
I didn't know.
Is it
He did.
Shawshank?
So Shawshank it was actually like a two. Like some of it, he did some of Shawshank, but some of it was from another writer as well.
Yeah, I didn't
it wasn't
think that
just
was all,
him.
Yeah,
it was like a dual thing, or I think maybe even 3 people.
Yeah, Rita Hayworth
Yeah, Rita
in
Hayworth.
Shawshank Redemption.
Yep.
That's the original title, which is another, like I said, novella in that collection.
But it
So-
was written by Stephen King.
Mhm.
Wow.
Novella by Stephen King from the 1982 collection, Different Seasons.
That's what it was. Yeah, Rita Hayworth. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's got some serious stuff under his belt as well, not just the crazy, you know.
And so this isn't, it's following it's a come of age story, right? Bunch of like young kids, teenagers, I assume. But it's nothing like the Goonies, right? This is more of a serious.
It is. It is. I think it's more a coming of age. That last little like before you're an adult, like getting out there and going to do something. This is before you have to deal with the real world. I mean, I that's in my interpretation. Yeah, it's a bunch of boys out with no parents around doing their thing, going on a mission to adventure. What you say. To go see a dead body. So they hear about a dead body out there, so someone they knew, and so they want to go see it, because nobody's been able to find him. Nobody knows what happened. I mean they hear that he's dead, and so they're kind of on an adventure to go find him. And then I guess some of the older brothers and whatnot are they're trying to go find him too, because I don't remember if I don't think there's a reward, but they wanted to be the ones to, hey, here he is, get their
The first to find it kind
Yeah.
of thing, yeah. Almost like heroes, I guess.
yeah.
You
But
think-
there's a lot of the just going what they go through to get there, and just comedy, laughter, all the boys' different stories of their backgrounds of what they went through. Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty excited for this.
Yeah,
So I think we'll just get right into it.
sounds good to me.
All right. I want to start off this part by listing off some of my favorite 50s slang,
Okay.
and I'd like to bring these back if possible.
Okay.
I was taking notes. What are you cracked? Shit for brains.
Yep.
And when someone says bullshit, you say bull true. Are you jazzed? Cock knocker.
Cock knocker.
And then your ass is grass. Those, that one and the shit for brains, everyone's heard those before, but
Cherry Pez.
Yeah.
I could live on Cherry Pez.
no question.
No question.
If there's a food you can, the single food you can have forever.
What about going to the local store and getting like an entire pack of buns, a whole thing of ham, and 4 Cokes for like $2?
That was like an 8-pack of buns too.
Yeah.
Hamburger buns.
Yeah, yeah. And then, 4 Cokes, and then probably like a pound of ground beef or something.
What was
for $2. Well, I think collectively, about I think $2 and some odd cents.
Yeah, 202 or something like that.
Which I was reading through the trivia during the movie, and that equates to about $22 as of 2021 for like inflation.
Interesting.
That's incredible. The 7 cents. I mean, so yeah, he what's his face had the jar of pennies hidden. I mean, that was a decent amount of money for a kid back then in 1950 something.
Big old jar of pennies. He goes, and they asked him for his money. He goes, I haven't found my pennies yet. like he's gonna pay him back later.
We never really came back to that. I wonder if he found his pennies.
I don't know. There was about 100 holes under that porch.
Yeah, right. With his little garden shovel,
Yeah,
digging in there. That was nice.
it was cool. He drew himself a treasure map and everything.
His mom cleared his room and threw it away. Almost could have been like a Goonies movie.
Yeah,
Who knows?
this is up there with the Goonies for me too. Goonies is also one of my all-time favorite movies.
Yeah, we kind of touched on it before when I asked about it, if it's the same kind of pacing, but this one's definitely... It had its humorous moments, but it wasn't a comedy.
No, I
I mean,
mean
it wasn't
yeah.
like a family adventure like the Goonies was, but I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it was well paced, well acted.
Yeah.
I can see why River Phoenix was so, beloved even as a kid, because he was. I mean, all of them were, but him especially.
I'm sure it's hard to direct scenes where it's 4 kids, and deliver that kind of like solemnity that happened in various times, and then the humor is probably a little bit easier for kids to develop.
Yeah.
But like those really serious moments, and then the crying moments, things like that. That's got to be tough to extract that from the kids. Obviously, their talent as well, but I'm sure there's a lot of like, this kid nailed it, but this kid over here was, and like having to figure all that out.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure while they were making the movie, they were all, best of friends. I mean, I don't know how long it took to film. I never looked that up, but I did read that the hotels they were staying in were always trashed and.
Yeah, there's something else I read about too. They threw like the furniture in the pool and everything. I was reading something too about how during the time of filming there was a Renaissance festival going on, and they went to get like cookies or something, but they didn't realize until after the fact that they were actually like pot cookies. Oh, and it was, one of the kids actually was high. Oh, I forgot. No, I think
like
I want
while filming.
Yeah, well, not while filming, but like on set, effectively. I forgot who it was now, which one, but I thought it was a nice little tidbit of information.
I'm sure they were all little shit-ass teenagers.
Yeah, but no, very enjoyable movie. I think well-paced. It didn't feel like dragged on in any moment. Like every scene was important. Like there was something to take in, everything, whether it's a backstory of some kid or just the scenery like you brought up, Yeah. It was a beautiful movie. Well done movie.
Yeah, I mean, I read they filmed some parts in Oregon and California, and so I mean, cinematography was probably, I'm sure it was, although it was well put together. The scenery alone in those states is very gorgeous already, so it probably made their lives a little bit easier. But it was beautifully shot.
Yeah, absolutely. And like Corey Feldman and River Phoenix too, they both have said that the characters they played were closest to them, like their actual personality at that time. So I wanted to pass that to you. Who do you think matched your personality at that same age?
I was probably more of a Chris Chambers, honestly, just because I was the oldest of six. Even all my friends, I was more like the ringleader, like, what are we doing? This is what we're doing. But it just, growing up, I mean, like I was telling you guys earlier, spending the summers in northern Michigan, just so much of that, like, touched with me in my childhood growing up. Because, we out in the woods building tree houses. I mean, you seen they were in a tree house. Just not having any adult figures around, like making our own rules, going out in the woods on adventures, not knowing where we were going. So I think, that had a lot to do with probably why I like this movie so much, other than the fact that it's a great movie.
Because you can see yourself in it.
Yeah, absolutely. We used to go down swimming in the river, and we would take a jar of salt with us because you would get leeches on you sometimes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it was like, that whole scene was like you felt that presence. You know what I mean?
You even commented like, "Oh, I know that feeling," or "That's bad," or something like that.
You don't even feel it. You come out of the water, and next thing you know, you got these black things on you. Like, oh, son of a, hey, where's the salt? Sprinkle some salt on, and they pop right off.
Oh.
Because sometimes ours weren't as big as those. I mean, those things look like big old matter daddies. But they're much smaller, and sometimes they're kind of hard to peel off. So
yeah. Darren, what about you? Who's your character?
I think it's hard because all of them had damaged families, and I don't think that I really can relate to that because my parents were good in that sense. But I can definitely relate to the adventuring off, completely unsupervised, getting into trouble. We would go hunting dove back in the woods. We had a canal behind our house, and so we would take canoes out and go out on that. We got in some really bad trouble as kids that involved cops and felonies. So just did, all kinds of stupid stuff in the woods. And even had a moment where in a different place when I was younger, myself and a couple of people went out and just like explored into some like woodsy areas that was like away from like the complex where we lived. And I remember the same kind of scene where it was like, is this deep or nah? Can we get across this? We were trying to get home, and we were kind of sure we knew where we were going, but not really. And the same thing, I ended up wading up to my chest in this water with my friends. And then, like, we still didn't know where we were at by the time we got to the other side. And we just kept moving. And then we finally ended up on a road that was, like, 2 miles away. And then just like, okay, we're taking the road back. Like, you know, I just walked the road the whole way back.
Taking the tracks like Vern, you know, suggested to everyone.
Yeah. So I've got memories of that, you know, that kind of an experience for sure of just the, like you said, that kind of wildness, I think is really, really powerful as a kid, that like anything is possible. Anything could happen.
Yeah. Good,
bad. You know, that's the kind of old school joke that a lot of, I think, older generations talk about, is like how different it is now. You know, that you can just send your kids off and like just be home from by sunset, you know, kind of thing, and then the kids are just gone, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think if I grew up in New York, like where I was born, you know, up in Carmel and the 2-3 acres of like forest and you know, behind my parents, I would definitely fit in well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But, you know, mostly growing up down here in a gated community in a nice little, like, you know, the suburbs or whatever, I can't say I've had too many experiences similar to your own or like those in the movie.
I mean, you were still in the Boy Scouts.
I still went out, but
you sought it out. Yeah. In a lot of ways, you sought it out.
Oh, for sure, absolutely. And like I said, I would have fit in. You know, it's still I would love to be part of that little dynamic. But who was it? Teddy was the my father was on Normandy. You know, Store of the Beats in Normandy. I always had a fascination, you know, with the military at a young age too. That's actually something I always also was curious about going into. In school I was going to do JRTC and all that stuff. Didn't fall through that to that degree, but I kind of relate to him in a way. Also wearing glasses too, you know. I had glasses at a young age and fascinated with the Army and stuff like that. So
and not only that, he was hilarious. You know, he's always got some kind of slapstick comment to everything.
There's always one in every group, right?
Of course. And then, you know, everybody always has a Vern too. You know, just that.
Yeah. The worrisome one.
The worrisome one never knows what's going on. You know, just clueless. You know, who you think's stronger? Who you think would win a fight, Mighty Mouse or Superman?
Who was it? I saw him hold 4 elephants in one hand. It's like
he said, I saw him holding 5 elephants in one hand. He goes, and then here comes Teddy. Vern, he's a cartoon character. Superman's a real person. Obviously, he would win.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was some good you know, some good comedy moments. There, you know, the whole story with Hogan there, Lardass. You know, that's totally off the wall, but you know, it's just kids being, you know, it kind of just reminds you of kids, you know, the way their mind works and just telling an adventuresome story, and then round robin, you know, he ends up being a writer. So, you know, you can see that connection.
Yeah, I wish I had somebody like that in my group, you know, friends, someone who's just a good storyteller like that.
Yeah. Just, you know, out of nowhere, too. You know, they're talking about horror stories and, you know, this story, and he comes out with this, and it was just, you know, the perfect vengeance story. You know, and it's not even nothing crazy, just throwing up on everybody.
Yeah.
The whole town.
That's something an 11, 12-year-old kid would think of, you know, as vengeance.
It's not even really vengeance either, because, like, I mean, you know, he's still going to live in that town the next day. Yeah. And he's going to be the one that made everybody, he's you know, if anything, it makes his life worse. Yeah. But in that moment, it's a,
You've seen him standing there with his arms folded, just with a smile cracked.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good.
I was kind of hoping, actually, that, because that was one part of the movie where, instead of the flashbacks to like what actually happened, that there would be at least maybe one more storytelling, you know, moment, because that was Will Wheaton's character, what's his name, Gordy.
Yeah.
You know, he was just telling the story, and so then it cuts to the actual story, and we see it happening, you know, even though it was all made up. I was hoping for at least like one more like that. I thought it was really enjoyable. A nice break from the movie, because it was like about the halfway point, right? Yeah. That's when they first camped out. Yeah, so like in terms of the movie as a whole, like, is there anything you think you would change about it?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's perfect the way it is. You know, Gordy himself, you can see how, you know, he was kind of disconnected from his family, other than his brother. Even when his brother was alive, you know, they're sitting there at the table and like just he's like out of the scene. You know, he's trying to get his dad's attention, but his brother notices him. So, you know, you see that. I kind of like that fact. But then, once his brother's dead, like, they're just mutes.
He was the invisible child,
Yeah,
right? Is what
absolutely.
he called himself.
Yeah, the invisible child. Yep. And although he's probably the one that had the most, even though he's the invisible child, he probably had the most normal family out of all of them. Mm-hmm. Because Chambers was, a bunch of thieves. Teddy had the loony father, and then Vern. I don't. They really talk about his family too much.
As you're saying that, I'm trying to think of like what Vern's was. I don't know.
I mean, they call him a pussy, and he's kind of disconnected from everybody as far as just scared of everything. So I mean, they probably didn't need to really talk about his family. You kind of already get the hint.
Right. Or was it one of his brothers in the game?
Yeah, his brother was the one that knew about the Broward boy.
Right.
And didn't want to. He wanted to tell them, but the other kid didn't. So yeah, he had a brother in the gang in the Cobras, and so did Chambers. Mm-hmm. They both had a brother in the gang. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's pretty good the way it is. Even at the end there, you see like. I thought it was kind of cool how when he talks about Chambers, he was always the peacemaker, and but he got in the middle of a fight and ended up dying. But
as an adult, yeah,
and they kind of make him disappear when as he's telling that. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, but it's funny because at least for me, watching the movie and like hearing that story in the end, to me at least, there was nothing tragic about it. That piece of it, like there was this much better sense of fulfillment in hearing that he studied the college stuff, went to college, became a lawyer, right? And if anything, it was just like this reaffirmation. His death was a reaffirmation that he's still that good guy, even to his dying breath, that he knew as a 12-year-old, and which is what then led him to say, I don't think I've ever had friends like I had when I was 12 years old.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Chambers was he broke that cycle. He was afraid of like he would always be known as a Chambers kid, right? The thief and all that, and he would never leave the town, and he would never go to college, and he would be a shop kid or whatever. And so that little story was like, no, he got out of all that. He did leave the town. He was successful. Unfortunate that he died in the way, but he died being a good person,
being a peacemaker. Yeah. Absolutely. He like you said, he didn't let his family name, when he asked Gordy told him, you can do whatever you want to. You can be whatever you want to be. And that's exactly what he did. And then to touch what you said, like, you never have friends the way you did when you're 12. Does anybody, and that's true. I mean, you've seen how he talked about Vern and Teddy when they went back to school. They kind of became just faces you see in the halls, even though they were that close. But how friends come into your life, and then just like that, they're out of your life too. It's ironic, so to say.
Well, it kind of reminds me of like Aaron and I. We've known each other since kindergarten for a very long time. We're still very close friends. Hopefully, one of us doesn't die from a knife in the throat. But but there's other people that was in our group of friends in elementary school, and that we don't really talk to anymore. But there's still Aaron and I. We're still kicking. But so the movie's good as is. But has your opinion at all changed over the time?
So like I was telling you earlier, I haven't seen it in probably at least 2 years, maybe more. But just sitting there, it was kind of all the it was very nostalgic because it just some parts reminded me of like childhood growing up. Maybe parts I laughed at with somebody before, or but it was kind of different watching it. Just it seemed a little bit slower, even though I knew what was coming up, but it was still very good. But I kind of found myself like it's a little bit slower paced, but like you said, I mean the story develops. I kind of understand movies probably better than when I was a teenager. And you see how a story, how it tells a story, did different parts of it. But it was still just as good. Like I said, very nostalgic, and just knowing. I've watched it with my mother many times. I've watched it with friends many times. my father, my brothers and sisters. So, I mean, in that sense, yeah, I still like it just as much as I did before. But
So this is definitely a movie that if it ever comes up conversation, you would recommend to someone?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, sometimes you can't put in words what it means to you. You know what I mean? You just say, oh, it's such a great movie, but then you kind of almost want to be there to like explain why, or, like, but they may not see it the way I did. Here's, one of my friends who grew up in the city may not understand certain parts of it like I did, or, so it's a great movie to me. I definitely recommend it to many people, to anybody. But, definitely like to talk about it and why, or...
Yeah, I mean, you always refer to them to this podcast now.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, go watch this podcast. I mean, we touch base on some things in there, but you're always free to make your own opinion.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, it's a great movie, man. Really glad you brought it over. And what would you give it, 0 through 10, like a rating?
I'm up at like a 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a 7.8.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Both of those numbers.
Getting a little specific. Who was it that was specific before? Was it Ryan? No, it was Mike, I think.
Yeah, it might have been Mike.
You gave like 7.1 or some shit like that, right?
Yeah, something like that.
I forgot now.
I mean, to me, that's
absolutely. No, for sure. And then Darren, what would you give it?
No, I mean, I think I'd give it somewhere in that same range, somewhere around an 8. I mean, it's. I think it really shows off like how good of a storyteller Stephen King is, because it's not like a traditional story arc where it's like there's this like genuine quest these kids are going on, even though they are, but there's not a final destination, or at least what they thought the final destination wasn't at all what the movie was about. But it wasn't like it then flipped to some other like huge success or some huge moment. It just kind of life continued. Right, and it was just about this guy talking about how those lives just kind of broke away, and that's how the story ended. Like that just tells me like how good a story can be without being this very structured plot, beginning, middle, end.
Yeah, what's the term called? A MacGuffin, right? It's like the point, the item in the story or whatever that it revolves around that generates the story. If not for this, it wouldn't happen. And that's just the body. But the body isn't the focal point, really. It just, like you said, just the destination. And then what's the phrase? It's not the destination, it's the journey.
Yeah.
This was the embodiment of that phrase. Of like, this is them literally going through, growing up effectively. Once they got it, and then they even said, walking back, they had so many thoughts in their mind, but they were very quiet the entire time.
They were all thinking about that. Yeah. What's kind of cool too is it turned out like you said, it wasn't. The body was the focal point, but it was the journey getting there. And even at the end of the day, they all wanted to be heroes about getting this body. And what happened? They anonymously called in where it was, its location. So they didn't even take credit for it, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah, and because that's, in the end, it's not what mattered.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
All right, cool, they saw a body, but I think they changed so much more leading up to that than it was then if they discovered a body and suddenly I think they mature now.
They looked at the body and they just realized what is there to celebrate about this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that's how they ended the scene too, was putting the blanket over him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was like, "We're not going to touch him. We're going to leave him here."
Yeah, because even right when they got there, they were talking about making a stretcher and things like that. But then the other gang came or whatever and did a whole threatening, and Krista's ground. And I was expecting Gordy to actually shoot at the gang leader guy. I was waiting for that moment.
Yeah,
I'm like, this is how they're gonna grow up. This is how they mature. I'm gonna kill a man.
What killed it too? He was like, "What, are you gonna shoot all of us?" He said, "No, Ace, just you."
Yeah, that was. I would never be able to clap back like that. That was.
I think that's probably like a cool point in the story, is like all these different family tragedies or ruthlessness and the parents and all these kind of things, like that tension. You felt like it was very possible. Like he could have, if you'd never seen the movie before, you would think, okay, he's gonna shoot this guy, and this is gonna be a very different movie than what I originally imagined. So like it created that tension by having this history of violence.
Yeah,
you seen the look on his face too. He was not playing.
I mean, you can see him like gradually fall apart as through their journey. At one point they're even saying how, oh, let's go back, as Gordy doesn't want to go anymore, and he just yells at him like, stop, because they're all like roughhousing or whatever, and he's like, we're gonna go, and he does it, and then he stays with his friend Chris. The other two disappeared just like they did in adulthood. They're just faces in the hallway, but the last two standing were the ones that
Yeah, you could get down, and if you really like pick this movie apart, there's so many different parts of the movie where it like round robins to another part, or but yeah, it's just in that part, I'm just like, you go, Will Wheaton, you go.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. No, he did a phenomenal job too.
Yeah, oh yeah,
incredible. Where did his career go? No, he embodied the nerd side of his life. Well, I mean, that's what he is. He's
absolutely
big geek. But I think he does his own DMing like show, I think, or D&D show.
He's a really good guy.
Yeah. I know,
good guy, like wholesome, fun guy to watch, at least from what I've seen.
Oh yeah, I would thoroughly enjoy to be friends with him.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he'd be a cool guy to like play a board game with or something. Just to hang out with for a bit.
Yeah,
have a game night with him.
And Teddy's still Teddy. Jerry O'Connell. I was reading something. He had said that he was referred to as the fat kid from Stand By Me for many, many years.
Oh, really? Well, didn't he like really change?
Oh yeah,
he's a toothpick, and
yeah.
Well, he got ripped for a while too. He was like a tough guy in a lot of like shows and movies.
Oh, yeah,
he did a lot of like kind of not B TV, but like C, like the CB, like those kind of channels. Like he was in a lot of that kind of stuff for a while.
Well, he was in a lot of like 80s horror movies too, I think, right?
Yeah.
I think it was like Friday the 13th and all that shit.
Yeah, so, that's what's the Keith Sutherland, like, he had a great career around that time too.
Yeah. He did a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, well, the show 24 is obviously a big thing. I'm sure a lot of people know him from that, but The Lost Boys, which we referenced, A Few Good Men, which is also a Rob Reiner movie.
Yeah.
That was both him and
there's so many good people in A Few Good Men.
Yeah, A Few Good Men.
Oh, yeah.
Tom Cruise.
He was also man,
I'm just kidding.
There was that movie that came out right around when The Matrix came out. That was also kind of about like the same subject, and Kiefer Sutherland was in it. It was in the 90s. I'm gonna have to look it up.
What is it? I have his thing up here.
It's a movie, and I can't. It's like something planet dark, something darks.
Flatliners, Mirrors, Young Guns, Three Musketeers.
No.
Oh, Contractor, Sentinel. I don't know. I could be overlooking it.
And to touch base on The Lost Boys too, that was also Corey Feldman in that movie.
He wasn't
he? Yeah, and he pretty much played the same character.
Did really?
That crazy military-minded, him and Rudy, what was his face?
Dark City.
Dark City. Mm.
Yeah, another great movie.
Also came out in 1998, same year as The Matrix, but not nearly as popular.
That's why I'm going down. It's on Letterboxd, and it's by popularity. I'm scrolling. I'm like, I don't see it. I'm still not even seeing it.
And it's got what's his name, the dude that just played the latest Marvel TV show,
Moon Knight.
Moon Knight, yeah, it's Moon Knight is the lead character in this movie.
Oh,
I've never seen it.
What, Moon Knight or Dark City?
Neither.
Both. Oh,
Neither.
Okay.
I wanted to start watching that show, but I haven't. I just haven't had time. There's so many shows I want to watch and catch up on.
Oh, I might be wrong. That doesn't sound like him. No, I think he's kind of
Oscar Isaac?
like him. Yeah, it's not Oscar Isaac. Never mind.
Oh, great. Now we're lying. He's lying to us.
Yeah, he looked like him. Sorry.
What, all Oscar Isaacs look the same? Is that what you're saying?
Rufus Sewell. No, I mean, look at him. Look at his face. Doesn't he kind of look like Oscar Isaac?
That's a terrible photo, and it's...
Maybe that's why it was so hard for me.
I know.
So easy for me to like associate. All right, well,
you're like, what, 5 feet away,
yeah.
Small image, it's a dark one, half his face is in shadow. Yeah, okay, I can, yes, totally, I can see it.
Same guy. Same exact guy.
Same guy, yeah.
He probably just changed his name.
More than likely.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was, anyways, the Lost Boys, it was Corey Feldman and Corey Haim and Keith Sutherland. It was a good movie too. But and then Goonies. I'd love to come back and maybe do that one.
Hey, we should do that, and we should play the board game.
Hey, you guys.
That one definitely has classic lines that goes out of it.
Oh my gosh! Never say die. Yeah,
that's a good one. Yeah, we'll watch that.
Every time I say that, my Sadie, she freaks out because she knows she's so scared to look at him on screen. She has to like hide her face.
Oh,
yeah, sloth. Anyways,
but well, thanks for coming on, man. I'm glad we actually got this.
It's been real.
Yeah,
I've been looking forward to doing this.
Yeah, postponed at least once. I think that it was my fault.
Once or twice. No, I think I once was you, once was me.
Oh, we did it twice already.
Yeah, we postponed twice already. Yeah.
All right. Well,
then, but anyways, I'm looking forward to coming back.
Yeah, you can see it's no big deal, right?
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, right. We'll have you back on for season 2.
Like, subscribe, click below.
Oh, hey, I like it. No one's done that for me.
And on that
note,
cheers.
Cheers. Thank you, guys.